In a remote provincial area there was a small school called Willbrook. She seemed ordinary and harmless, but she harbored sinister secrets. It all started with the arrival of a new director, Mr. Harris. On the surface, he seemed friendly and polite, but teachers and students soon realized that something dark was hiding inside him. He was known for his cruelty and strict parenting methods. Lessons at the Willbrook school became a real test. Mr. Harris not only demanded impeccable academic performance, but also used physical punishment against disobedient students. Many of them began to experience constant fear and anxiety. But soon more strange and frightening things began to happen. Students began to report ominous visions and ghosts that appeared in different parts of the school. They talked about seeing shadows, hearing whispers, and feeling the presence of invisible forces. Teachers also did not stay away. They began to notice that objects were rearranged on tables, doors opened and closed by themselves, and at night strange sounds and moans were heard coming from empty classrooms. Rumors of ghosts and spirits spread throughout the school, and no one felt safe. Fear gripped everyone, and every day became a real struggle for survival for students and teachers. One day, a student named Emma decided to conduct her own investigation. She believed that the answers to the riddle of the school were hidden somewhere in her past. She began to study archives and talk to former teachers and graduates. Among the conversations and old documents, she discovered a terrible secret. Many years ago, a serious security violation occurred at Willbrook School, as a result of which several students died. Their deaths were hushed up, and the perpetrators went unpunished. Emma decided to reveal the truth and reconcile the souls of the dead. She gathered a group of like-minded people and together they began an investigation to find evidence and bring to light those who were responsible for the tragedy. Emma and her team delved into the past of the Willbrook School. They studied all available documents, talked with former teachers and graduates to gather reliable information about what really happened. Gradually, they were able to reconstruct the picture of past events. It turned out that an organized system of bullying and violence against some students flourished at the school. Several children were bullied and tortured by a group of rapists consisting of the students of the school themselves. One of the victims of the violence was a young guy named Mike. He could not bear the bullying and committed suicide. Mike's tragic death was carefully hushed up by the administration and some teachers who were involved in the bullying that took place. After collecting all the evidence, Emma and her team decided to go to justice. They presented their findings to the police and drew public attention to this topic. Investigators launched an investigation and soon arrested several criminals, including students and teachers involved in bullying and hiding the truth. However, as the investigation progressed, the terrible events at the Willbrook School continued to occur. The ghosts of the dead children have become more and more active and aggressive. They took revenge on everyone who had to do with their suffering, and no one was safe. Emma realized that her work was not finished. She gathered her team again and decided to figure out what keeps the ghosts on a leash. They conducted research, studied local legend. Emma and her team decided to figure out what keeps the ghosts of dead children in the school basement, without resorting to rituals or the occult. They began to conduct research within the framework of a scientific approach, turning to experts in psychology and paranormal phenomena. One of the experts they contacted was Professor Davidson, a specialist in the study of ghostly phenomena. He suggested that the team conduct a series of experiments and psychological tests to understand the nature of these ghosts and how to release them. Emma and her team conducted a lot of night observations at school. They used infrared cameras, sound recording equipment and other scientific instruments to record any unusual activity or signals coming from ghosts. For weeks, they observed the behavior of ghosts and recorded all the facts. These recordings allowed them to establish that the ghosts were tied to the school basement by their strong emotions and unresolved problems. After a thorough analysis of the data, Emma and her team came to the conclusion that in order to free the ghosts, it is necessary to find a way to reconcile them with their past abusers. They decided to hold a special meeting at which they would gather everyone who was involved in the tragedy. The meeting was attended by former teachers, students and parents, as well as some members of the local community. Emma and her team shared all the collected data and talked about how ghosts take revenge on everyone who had to do with their suffering. Among those present at the meeting were those who realized their guilt and were ready to do everything possible to make peace with the ghosts and find a way to forgive themselves. They expressed their apologies and showed sincere regret for their actions. The absence of former teachers, students and parents at the meeting created an atmosphere of tension and anxiety. Everyone understood that the responsibility lay on their shoulders and that now the fate of the dead children and the future of the school would be decided. Emma addressed the audience and asked everyone to think about their actions and take responsibility for the past. She stressed that the purpose of the meeting is not to blame or condemn, but to find a way to reconcile and find healing for everyone, including the ghosts of dead children. One by one, people started telling their stories and expressing regret. Former teachers have acknowledged their role in failing to prevent bullying and violence. They repented of their inaction and promised to do everything possible to maintain a safe and caring environment at school. Some former students involved in the bullying admitted their guilt and expressed sincere apologies. They admitted that their actions were wrong and that they had caused suffering to others. They showed a desire to change and become better. The parents of the deceased children expressed their pain and deep sadness, and also expressed sincere apologies for the inability to protect their children. They promised to fight for the safety of children at school and work to avoid similar tragedies in the future. The most important part of the meeting was the stretching of the hand of forgiveness and reconciliation. People standing on opposite sides of the conflict held out their hands to each other and said goodbye. Words of forgiveness were uttered, and everyone felt relief and renewal within themselves. As the reconciliation process progressed, the ghosts of the dead children began to show gentleness and calmness. Their images became more and more transparent, and they slowly disappeared before the eyes of the audience. The pain and suffering they were bound by disappeared with them. The meeting ended with a general sense of relief and renewal. People realized that reconciliation and forgiveness are not only the way to release ghosts, but also to heal their own wounds. Willbrook School has become a place where all members of the community have worked together to create a safe and supportive environment for every student. If you liked this scary story about the school full of sinister secrets and unexplained phenomena, then subscribe to our channel so as not to miss new fascinating stories and adventures. On the channel you will find even more scary stories, riddles and mystical events that will make you hold your breath and feel the overwhelming horror. Join our community and get ready to dive into the world of real fear and intrigue. Click the subscribe button and don't miss the opportunity to become part of our fascinating journey into the world of dark and terrifying stories.